guys, I'm the Coaster Keat, and since Easter is tomorrow, I decided that today I wanted to go over with you guys my personal history of Easter. Now, what I mean by my personal history of Easter is just kind of the evolution of how Easter has been in my life and how I've perceived it and what has gone on. And why would you care about this? Well, if you are my mother, who happens to be a minister, you would care a lot about this because, of course, this is your life. If you are one of the people connected to her, you'll care about it for a similar reason. And if you're a non-religious person, you might, you might get a kick out of the random ways that I perceived Easter as a child. So if you like that, you can go ahead and stick around. But anyways, without further ado, let's get into it. When I was a very, very young child, my parents started to have the whole Easter celebration thing for me. And this, at the beginning, consisted of them hiding eggs out in the yard, and then on Easter morning, I would wake up and I would go out and I would hunt for those darn Easter eggs. And I would hunt and hunt and hunt and hunt until I found every last one, and they would always tell me when there was one more. I would never be able to leave one behind, and whenever I would have trouble finding one of these eggs, they would go ahead and do a nice little hot cold for me. So I particularly remember quite a few times where I would be out searching for Easter eggs, and my mom would be like, "Oh, you're hot, you're hot, you're hot." And I'd be like, "Oh, am I here? I'm here, I'm here." And then she'd be like, "Ah, no, you're freezing cold." And I'd be like, "What? I was blazing hot a second ago. What do you mean I'm freezing cold now?" And let me be very clear, I never believed in the Easter Bunny, and I think this was because my parents didn't really make a big, to-do about an Easter Bunny, where Santa Claus was kind of maybe believable because it was kind of a real person in a way. Yes, he has magical powers. That is still far more believable to a young, impressionable child than a giant talking bunny that goes around and hides eggs. Who has time for that? Locating everyone's chimney, okay, maybe, but figuring out where in every single person's yard are the absolute best hiding spots, it's just not going to happen. Plus, parents are not going to give credit for their incredible hiding spots to some random anthropomorphized animal. Let's be honest here, it's not going to happen. Anyways, for my childhood, as a young child, that's what Easter was for me. It was waking up on Sunday morning, collecting eggs, and then having to go to Sunday service. And sometimes, at Sunday service, most times I think, they would actually have a little Easter egg hunt there too. So not only would I get the candy from my own home, but I'd get the candy from church, and I was a very, very happy kid, but I was also a very competitive kid because I took absolutely everything extremely seriously as a child, and even though there was no one counting how many eggs you had, and there was no sort of competition about this, when I would hunt for Easter eggs as a kid in these competitive settings at church or whatever, I would literally go around, elbowing kids out of the way to get to an egg first, running, sprinting down, and then doing, one of those baseball dives down to go ahead and get an egg before this poor little kid that's, 3 years younger than me ever could. And I was so competitive. I would go and I would ask people, "Hey, how many eggs do you have? How many eggs do you have?" And unless I had the most number of eggs, I would be very disappointed in myself. I needed, for some weird, convoluted reason, to have the most number of eggs, and I would do literally anything to be that person. Which also included, by the way, going up to the people that I knew had hidden the eggs and asking them, "Hey, are there any, really hard to find eggs that I could find?" And they'd be like, yeah, if you look over by the fence post, there might be something. And I'd go over to that fence post and I would look, and I'd roll my investigation check and get a natural 20, and I'd be like, "Yes, I found the egg," and I would cherish that egg. And I would hold on to the little eggs because for some reason we got to keep them, and I would have them all stored up in this little spot in my room, and I was very, very proud of what I did. And this lasted for some time. I'd say all the way through elementary school. And then it came middle school, and by middle school I had grown up a little more. You would hope so, from elementary to middle that you grow up a little bit. And I had matured just a tiny bit, and although I thought at that time that I was pretty much Satan incarnate because I really thought I was a bad person, I actually did start doing a few good things, at least when it comes to Easter egg hunting. Because even though my parents decided to ruin my at-home Easter that year, and I specifically remember this because I had a lot of spite over it, I'm sorry, but what they did is I don't even think they had an Easter egg hunt. And it was the first time that I didn't have an Easter egg hunt in my own backyard. And instead they give me this little basket with various religious things in it. You know, like your little cross and this little card that has these footprints and a little charm that you're supposed to wear. And they were like, Happy Easter. And there was like some chocolate or candy there or whatever. But I was like, this isn't fun. This isn't going and searching for candy. Like, what is this blasphemy? I don't want religion. I want candy. Give me my Easter. And I was very upset at this. Did I have a right to be? I mean, I was in middle school, so probably. But, like, it just, to me, it seems so just unfair. Like, it's okay if you give me the religion and the candy, as had been done for so long. But if you just give me the religion and, like, the candy without the whole competitive aspect, then I am not going to enjoy it because I need to see myself succeed at something on Easter morning. That is just a fact of life. Anyways, we go ahead and go to church that morning. And at the church, they are having an Easter egg hunt. However, it's for all the little kids. However, I'm also the pastor's child, which means it's my job to make sure that, like, all of the kids are doing okay or whatever. And so I was then able to get all of my competitiveness out by helping point out to these small children who are very blind, you see. And I would be able to point out to them like, oh, look, I think there's something over there. And they'd be like, oh my gosh, there's an egg. And I'd be like, yes, there's an egg. And they'd be like, but why am I looking for eggs? And I'd be like, it's Easter. But why do bunnies lay eggs? And I'd be like, okay. And anyways, we would get past the whole existential issue, and we would just, have them get their eggs and have everyone go ahead and get their eggs. And I would also, very sneakily, I would do this, go around and at the very best spots, the places where I knew no kid would ever find them, I would just go ahead and sneakily get the eggs from those spots, and I would hide them in my little bag that I carried, and I would just get them all together. And then at the end, we got all the kids together, and I asked them, okay, how many eggs did you all get? Because, I am a competitive person at heart, and I really need to see which one of these toddlers beat the heck out of the other ones by getting so many eggs. And so each and every one of them would sound off their number, which, were like 14 and 12 and 10. And once they did this, I was like, yes, very good, very good. And then I'd be like, all right, now, for the one that got 14, here's some eggs, and for the one that got 12, here's some eggs, and for the one that got 10, here's some eggs. And by the time that I had passed all of those out, everyone had an even number of eggs. You might be saying to yourself, that's so sweet, that's so kind, that's such a good thing to do. But you know what I was doing in my little middle school heart? I was justifying the fact that I stole these eggs from these small children. The fact that I went and participated in a child's game that I was not supposed to be involved whatsoever in, and yet I was. And then I tried to convince all of the parents out there that, what I was doing was a completely pure thing. It had nothing to do with my own self-esteem and ability to find things. No, it is all to help your little children to understand the rules of fairness. And I got away with it too. Until this video anyway. I don't know why I rat myself out so much in these videos, but I do. Anyways, after middle school, and kind of during middle school, and then going into high school, a lot of things happened. It wasn't as much as what happened last year, but it was also a lot. So it was like Dark Ages part 0.5, and then the Dark Ages happened last year. And so anyways, stuff happened, and so suddenly the whole message of rebirth was a whole lot more resonant. It tugged at my heartstrings just a little bit more, and the fact that we were telling this story at a church that was so small, that was so determined, it was just so much more powerful than when we were telling it at a church that was so big and not gonna fail at all. It's funny how much more that message reverberates with you when you're at a place that almost seems dead than when you're at a place that seems completely alive. It's just so much different. And so, somewhere in there, I came to terms with the fact that the only Easter egg hunts I was ever going to get were going to be at random church services, and that the candies that I was going to get were going to be lesser. And you know, they tried to make it up to me. At the church, they gave me, like, these little baskets. They gave all of the teenagers, like, little baskets of stuff instead. But as I mentioned before, what fun is it when there's literally no competition? I needed that competition because that was what fueled my fun Easter experience. But at the same time, I was almost able to let it go because I was like, yeah, you know, spirit of Easter and forgiveness and, you know, keeping going and all of that stuff. So I eventually came to terms with the fact that the only way I was ever going to get candy was through the baskets and also through clearance. Because that is the other wonderful thing that I got to find out when I got older, was that the clearance section is a wonderful place to go. And the great thing about being an adult is, yes, you don't get to hunt for all of the chocolate and all the candy and all of that stuff. But what you do get to do is buy as much of it as you freaking want. So take that, Easter. I, on Monday morning, am going to... Oh, wait. The freaking quarantine's in effect. Gosh darn it! Anyways, thank you all so much for watching. I hope you all have an absolutely incredible Easter. I hope that if you are a child that you get candy. I hope that if you are a teenager that you get candy. I hope that if you are an adult that you get candy. I hope that if you are a senior or whatever with diabetes that you find some way to get candy, and maybe like low sugar candy or something, I don't know. But the point being, please go out there, enjoy Easter, enjoy just the celebration, because in the midst of all of this, we need to celebrate these little things. And even though it might seem so much more trivial in these trying times, it's still so, so, so important. So go out there, celebrate Easter, and steal some candy from children. Thank you so much for watching, and I hope that you all soar high and enjoy your ride of life. Bye!